Okay, welcome back. This is the eighth in our series about the human aura and energy field. And we've been talking a lot about electricity, magnetism, polarity. And in our previous segment, I was talking about grounding as something that's very important. I used the example of a crystal rod. But grounding is extremely important. And there's a reason for that. Aside from the fact that by grounding ourselves, we can protect ourselves from extraneous, possibly harmful, but at least disturbing energies that are coming just around in nature, various kinds of waves and things. And we can ground ourselves, touch the earth, so to speak, reach for the sky, and then we can harness some of that power also. Now, I drew this little example here of the line and the sine wave. And the line represents a base point. In our perception, in any kind of measurement system, a reference point, we need, in math, there's a ground. There's a point of zero. You'd say it's theoretical, but it's something that you can refer to. And every other sound, noise, wave, whatever, is in relation to that. So, what we need to do for our perception, to enhance our perception for one thing, is to be grounded. And that can involve basic things such as touching nature, touching a rock, touching a tree, touching an animal, various ways to ground oneself and to get oneself in a physical position where the natural wave energy of life can flow. Because we can't try to capture something like energy because we're actually immersed in vast seas of energy. And what we can do through a grounding process is allow ourselves to be a conductor, to let it flow through and around us, like air goes through trees, and the trees harness and take some of that air. But we need to ground ourselves. Now, there's a lot of different ways to do that. And people like yogis say that if you also involve your physical body, all the different elements of your physical body that we've enumerated here, our cells, the water, the food, the nutrients that we have in our body, involve that in the grounding. The nutrients we take in or don't take in, whether we fast or don't fast, various lights that we might be exposed to help ground parts of us. Because as I was saying, grounding is a little bit more complicated. There's a physical grounding, and then there's other elements and systems within our auric system that they all need to be grounded. They all need to be connected and resonating. And to try to understand that this is a very complicated system, just like our body has various organs and glands to do different functions, the aura has aspects of it, frequency ranges, and light and so on that some is affected by sound. For example, we know that the cell waters, all the water in our body is affected by sound. Our hearts, all the different sounds, pulses of different kinds. That's why just sitting still for a while, like drinking clean water. So the electricity in our body is affected by electric waves and radio frequency waves. So that aspect of our aura. Because the aura, as I said, is a complex system. It's just like we have the physical part of us, but the more powerful invisible part, or less visible part, it seems the reality is that the less visible or obvious it is, it may be to our senses, it depends on how we're looking at it, but the more fundamental it is. For example, the light streaming into our system day and night, people know if you get deprived of light, sunlight, for long periods of time, it's not good. In the same way, if you do get exposed to fluorescent lights and all those types of lights, it affects that part of our aura. This is where the problem is, where they do a lot of these investigations and they figure, well, what is this frequency bad? Is this frequency bad? Is this, sunlight bad? Well, if you want to know the truth, there's an awful lot of stuff, including sound waves, that come into our system that really aren't very good for us. But it's the great good fortune and the perfect design of our system that allows us to have a good measure of resistance to a lot of ills. Otherwise, we wouldn't work naturally. So there's a way. A lot of it is grounding, meditation, cleansing the body, staying in the right kind of frequency, light waves, managing the water system, training the electrical network of perception, and cleansing the glands so they can do their chemical. See, chemical interaction between glands, as we all know, a very small amount of a chemical can have a tremendous effect on the glandular system, because the gland, like we were saying, it's a subtle thing. Some very, very subtle things have a lot of power. Light, for example, right? And magnetism. Now, that brings up another subject. Well, people say, well, are magnets good, or should you hold magnets? Well, sometimes magnets are definitely good. There's been evidence of that. Our system is magnetic, but there might be various times when it might be better or worse, or maybe more helpful or less helpful. In certain cases, putting the magnets in the right places on a body can help. Again, one part of the aura. So, I only have about 9 minutes or so in each of these segments, and I'm not sure if I'm going to have to cover this again. Now, shapes are very important. The way energy circulates, they represent things. An intersection, a triangle, various shapes, the way the body can be put in, you can make triangles, various types of things that shapes attract energy and radiate energy. So shapes and the shapes of crystals are very important. So I'm trying to give you just like a bunch of stuff to take in, because you can look at these things again and get some new meaning from it in a later review.